Drive a Honda or an Acura? Well, then keep on watching because your car might be on the latest list of cars recalled for having dangerous car parts in Canada. Now, my name is Pamela Metani. I'm the founder and principal lawyer here at Graphene Business Law, where as our slogan says, it's all business all the time. And for companies that get large enough to their business and put out different waves of products over the years and over time and in different territories, that of course might include having a product that's recalled here and there. Is a recall something that a business owner would hope for? No, it certainly is not. Is a recall something that's the right thing to do when an issue has been identified with the product? Yes, it absolutely is. Okay, so right off the bat, we've talked about a Honda and Acura car issue that specifically is focusing on dangerous airbag installations in these cars. When it comes to the models of cars that we're talking about, it's worth noting that these are older car models from 2000, 2001. I believe there's 6 or 7 cars to the recall: Honda Accord sedan, Honda Civic sedan, Honda CR-V SUV, Honda Odyssey minivan, Honda Pilot SUV, Acura 3.2 TL sedan, and Acura 3.2 CL coupe. To my knowledge, this is what's the list of recalls, and it seems that there's still about 8,200 of these cars on the road. Now, being a business law firm, why does something like this catch our attention? Well, as you can imagine, there would have been a point in time and space not too long ago where products being identified as problematic, there wasn't much that was done about them. People would literally, it could cost them their life, and people could be badly injured, and there was no specific resolve within the law. I mean, you can certainly imagine that the first cars ever made, we're not looking at every single thing that happens all the time, as closely as we do today in law. And also there wouldn't have been as many opportunities for relief as we have today in law. So from that perspective, this is a business law topic that's fascinating. And it's also really important to see that we do as a society have these structures in place to identify troublesome products and what happens with them. So there's the next question. What happens when a product is recalled in Canada, specifically cars? When it comes to cars, what the responsibility of the manufacturer is to take in your car and basically repair that problematic part for free. Okay, now there's questions from how you're getting to point A to B. Do they cover your cost of transportation, for example, for you to get home after you dropped off your car? Do they pick up your car for you? Those are details that can be taken care of between yourself and the dealership that's calling you. Those are things you can ask for. You can ask for a ride. You can ask for some relief in that sense to make your life easier, because at the end of the day, you're only going there to help them as a company to remedy something that they've done that was wrong, inappropriate in some way. Okay, and in very, very, very rare circumstances do we see the entire product getting replaced when it comes to a car, just because that is, I mean, it's it's unfortunate to sort of say out loud that would seem socially as a get a free car kind of clause, because that's not what it is, right? The manufacturer has done something that's wrong, that's inappropriate, that in this case, I'm looking at the article, and the description of what has been found to be bad in this recall is devastating, life-threatening injuries, right? So a product recall is not a get a free car, get a free product kind of call. But for what it's worth, it of course would cost the company less to replace, in this case, the driver's side airbag inflator, as opposed to giving you a brand new car. And then there's also questions legally about, well, what kind of brand new car are you entitled to? In this case, we're recalling 2001, 2002 cars. So are you entitled to the exact same product which you purchased, or are you entitled to that similar car today? Are you entitled to money instead of no car at all? There are legal complexities there, and basically where the law is now, it's like a tit for tat scenario that, the airbag's not working, bring it to us, we'll replace the airbag and airbag only, because that's the issue, that's the reason this product was recalled. So that's just something to give you perspective. I've been doing more of these pop culture videos, if you will, more of these news related videos here on this channel, and this is something that certainly caught my eye, because usually these are seen to be two reliable car companies, but also it caught my eye for another reason. In North America, I read an article that since 2014, product recalls in the vehicle and automotive industry have been steadily increasing. So that's worth noting too. For those looking to buy a new car, something maybe you might be interested in is studying the kind of cars that have been recalled, noticing if there's patterns there. And also now we're in a world where we have the conventional gas versus hybrid versus electric, seeing if there's some patterns there as well. I'll tell you just off the bat, looking at the graphs, one trend I did notice is that for 2022, I believe Volvo and a car brand that started with M, maybe the guys watching this video can put the clues together there, but Volvo and a car brand starting with M had the lowest recalls of 2022. So that goes to speak, to certain brands that might be overall less likely to have parts recalled to them as well. And I'm just scrolling down my notes here. Volvo and Mazda had the least at the least recalls of 2022. Now, when it comes to Canada specifically, what governs these recalls? Why? Sorry, that's my phone going off. Why do we have? Why are products recalled anyways? Well, as you can imagine, I'm just opening my notes here. There are laws in place. There's legislation in place in Canada, and there's legislative requirements from the Canada Consumer Product Safety Act. If it's a food product that's being recalled, of course, we're going to be involving the Food and Drugs Act as well. There are acts in place that govern this setup, right? Otherwise, you can imagine that maybe not everybody would, recall a product if they didn't have to. But luckily, we're at a place in society now where there kind of is somebody watching and encouraging these companies, whether it's cars in the case of this video, or food, or whatever it may be, to do the right thing. And, in parentheses, is the idea of doing the right thing, well, because they have to, okay? In terms of steps that the companies that are going to be voluntarily recalling a product, we're going to, of course, the government chooses the person or an individual within that company to be, in communications with. And then we're communicating to the Health Canada organization at large that, what's happened, why we're going to do the recall. There starts a study about, controlling the product involved and developing an action plan to take care of that bad product, so to speak. And then there's timelines that are put in place. We alert consumers, notify Canadians, and eventually, once the Canadians have brought their product in, there's some studies done as to the effectiveness of the recall. So generally speaking, that's like the lifestyle from a business law perspective of why we're recalling products nowadays, because a lot of times we have to, and what that recall product looks like when it comes to taking that corrective action on behalf of the company. And specifically, this video was inspired by the Honda and Acura recalls, just because in our society, those are seen to be two fairly reliable car companies. And it was surprising to see them in the news, 3 days into February, and for such a serious matter as well. Like, this recall wasn't because of a, certain paint color. This recall was because of potentially life-threatening injuries. And in general, the trend with, vehicles being that there are more recalls year after year. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. Thank you for watching. If you like these more pop culture videos, then let us know in the comments.